Wow. With the recent election results, your show is more politically topical than ever.
Um, yeah, I don't love predicting things. This sort of Simpsons way that we're able to predict current events is not a thing that I'm happy about. But it does seem to keep happening. Yes.
That's very funny that you brought up The Simpsons because I did think of that when I was doing my questions for this. Suddenly your end of season 4 poster is just takes on such a different, interesting meaning.
Yeah, I mean, look, the goal of the show has always been hold up a funhouse mirror to reality, and frankly, I think The Simpsons does too, where you're just talking about what's going on in the world and you're satirizing it. And I think once you do that and you're swimming in that water, it's inevitable that things are going to line up and things that are naturally extrapolating in your show fictionally because the DNA is so based in the news that it starts to happen, in the real world.
It just shows how plugged in you are, you and your writer.
Yeah, yeah, I could stand to be a little less plugged in, but yes, I'm happy that our weirdo superhero show ends up being one of the most current shows on television.
Right?
That's very wild, and we're very proud of that.
One thing that's always fascinated me about The Boys is that it has very broad appeal, even with its strong commentary. It reminds me a bit of the Colbert Report back in the day,
Mm.
which had broad appeal, even though it did take a very strong stance. How do you agree with that? And how do you feel kind of walking that fine line?
Well, I am very flattered by the Colbert comparison. I was a massive fan of that show.
Me too.
Yeah, it was the best. Um, yeah, I mean, I think we do. I mean, look, it's not obviously there's a lot of commentary. I think we also have a lot of heart and we're about character, and um, even people who have different political beliefs than mine who are watching the show and I see them on social media, they just love the characters, you
Well,
know.
I have to say your conservative characters are very well thought out and they have tremendous depth, which I think gives them legitimacy.
Yeah, and like we try hard to, our quarrel is with the people in charge, and it's never with the people on the street, and
Yeah.
and so that's part of it as well. Like we don't, I think people by and large are smart and are trying to do well and take care of their families and are good people. I think there's a lot of people in charge on both sides that stoke fear and manipulation for their own ends, and maybe because we have some of that attitude, like because I think that goes to everybody. But we just try to make the show emotionally universal, and I think maybe hopefully people are responding to that.
I think so. On a lighter note, it's been a long journey for the boys. I've loved and championed your show since day one.
I know, I appreciate that. I know, thank you.
But, it was really incredible to see Anthony Starr, for instance, at the Emmys as one of the
Yeah.
villains that they spotlighted. And it seems like you're breaking through to like, you know, the fans have always loved your show, but you're breaking through that next level. Why do you think it's happening now?
Um, I don't know, because I'm a writer and I don't have enough self-esteem to properly lay that out. But I'm just happy that it is. I'm just grateful. I mean, look, I think everyone on this show, this cast, is doing career best work.
I agree.
I think a lot of the writers are. It's certainly the best job I've ever had, and I think we've consistently maintained it. That's the other thing. Like, there's small ups and downs, but by and large, like I'm really proud of every season of the show. And the only thing I can think of is like you just keep presenting at that level over and over and over and over again. And the consistency of it causes the word of mouth to keep spreading and people keep saying you really have to watch this show. It's good from start to finish. And maybe that's why.
Well, I'm running out of time. So my last question for you, okay, is that while the industry, as I said, the fans have always been with you and they're growing exponentially. The Boys season 4 had amazing viewership. It was bigger than many Marvel and DC shows,
Hmm.
which is incredible for you to rise to the level of and maybe arguably above what you're commenting on.
Hmm.
So you comment on that, and now you're even building your own cinematic universe. What do you think about The Boys, where it is, the future? Like, I wanted to get your thoughts on that.
Um, yes, we're coming up with these shows, and I'm like, how do I feel? I'm nervous because I really don't want to become the thing that we're
Mhm.
satirizing, because in many ways, like The Boys is punk rock, like it hurts more if it sells out,
That's great.
so we're trying really hard not to, and being very, very selective about what sort of stories in this universe do we want to tell, because there are some, but that they're internally generated from the core creative team. They're not like, it's not like Amazon is saying like, you have to give us 3 spin-offs. We're coming to them saying,
Oh,
hey,
really?
yeah, we're coming to them and we're saying we have a story we're really passionate about, and are you guys interested? And they've said no a couple times, but they've said yes to, Gen V and Vought Rising and Boys Mexico. And so like,
Your Spanish language show, I think, is particularly exciting.
yeah, I mean, we're trying to take swings, right? Like to do the 19, I'm really excited about Vought Rising to do, you know, what we try to keep as a rule of thumb is this show could exist without the boys ever existing,
Ooh.
and if it can stand on its own 2 feet, so, and be something totally different, right? And that you can't do it on the boys. So Gen V is a great character, coming of age drama about college. And Vought Rising is like, you've never really, outside of just glimpses in Watchmen, you don't really see superheroes in the 1950s and that sort of classic noir, LA Confidential with superheroes way. That's a exciting new ground to touch on, that the boys could never do. So, if we can hit that bar, then hopefully people will see, again, we're just consistent with our quality, hopefully, and that'll keep people engaged.
That Watchmen comparison is very exciting. All right,
Yeah.
all right, I'll let you go. I'm out of time, but thank you so much. And it's
Oh,
always
thank you, Grace. It's great seeing you, and thanks again for all the support.